Rick Morales, our exec producer.
Hey guys.
Got 7 minutes, making good.
What up, señor Morales? What's poppin'? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Alrighty, how's New York Comic Con treating you?
So far, so good.
Excellent.
Happy to be here.
So what's poppin' with the film, man?
I don't know.
Talk about this awesome film right here.
I mean, what do you want me to say? This is probably, to me, this is the most personal film I've ever made. I'm telling everybody, but like, I made this movie because I wanted to make something for my son. I've got a young kid, and so I just wanted to make something that felt to me like very classic. And I was thinking along the lines of like the old Amblin movies that I grew up with, or in particular, this wasn't an Amblin film, but the Richard Donner Superman movie, which this kind of takes some cues from. That was the goal here, is to make something that when my kid is just a little bit older, he can watch and hopefully is, aspirational.
Beautiful.
When you were making the movie, did you have any message or inspirational idea that you wanted to give the audience when you were making it?
It's basically listen to your dad. That's what I was making it for you. That's no, I mean, yes, of course. To me, it's about like finding yourself, accepting yourself, and it's. Jonathan is like, he's going through discovery, right? He's basically going through puberty. It's the X-Men in a lot of ways, right? The mutants discover their power and they have to deal with it. Except your dad is Superman, and so that adds the level. Like, well, how cool is that? Like, you find out you have heat vision, and that's pretty scary. But then your dad's Superman, like, that's awesome. I don't know. To me, that would be the most awesome thing in the world. So. But it's about finding out, about yourself and learning, I think, responsibility and self-sacrifice was the thing that we were trying to impart on these boys.
In the film, because Jonathan's origin in the comic books is kind of funky because he was born in a transition time. Do you guys address his origin? How he came?
So I loved that Superman run, but it came at a really weird time, right? It was like on the tail end of like the New 52 or whatever, and they were like alternate reality. It was like the old version of Clark, and like none of that stuff could come into this film because it just complicates it, and I didn't think we needed it anyway. It's like I feel like it works. Everybody knows who Superman is, and we do a really short recap of it in the title sequence. If for some reason you were born on another planet and you don't know who Superman is, which we got Michael Golden to do the artwork for, and he's really one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. So that was awesome. But then after that, it's like off to the races because I feel like that stuff was just, it's cool for the comics because you've got so much like history, and if you're reading it on a monthly basis or whatever, like that works. But in a 70, 80-minute film, you can't do it. I thought about it for sure.
I was wondering if you could talk about the process of making the film. This is like a kind of, we heard it was 2D and 3D.
It's CG. It's full CG. Yeah, I mean it's made to look traditional because I wanted it to. I worked on Green Lantern, the animated series, and I thought that had a really cool look to it. But I didn't want this to look like that. I wanted it to sort of just feel like traditional animation as closely as we could. And I think the thing that I like about CG is just for what we do, the process of making these films, the limited budgets and things that we have, it allows you more flexibility to like get more developed acting, get more developed shots. Like we couldn't do some of those flying scenes the way that we've done them, in another traditional 2D film, right? It just wouldn't be possible. I love them both, but to me it was like we have the opportunity to do something new here, or something new for Warner Brothers here, because certainly stuff like this has been done before, but not in this way, not with the studio, and not in this sort of style. And to me, it really works.
So as an EP, what career advice you would give to a student in film school right now?
Work hard. Work really, really hard. You know, it's like everything about being in animation it's all about putting in the work, the pencil muscles. You're not just gonna float in and find yourself in this position, right? It's a lot of grinding, grueling hours of work. That's what it is. So love it too. You better love it. Otherwise, you're not gonna do it. You know.
Now, some of the animated features you see at times get kind of edgy. You said earlier that you wanted something for your son to watch.
Yeah.
Was there any, say, pressure? Is there anything in the film that makes it have that edge?
I mean, we have the, you know, so, okay, it's PG-13. It is rated PG-13, and that was, you know, a prerequisite to it, because for the DC stuff, one of the fears was, is it too family friendly, right? There had to be a little bit of edge to it. And then, you know, I didn't think that was going to be such a problem, because Jeremy and I have done the Mortal Kombats together, so we can certainly bring some intensity if we have to. But Jim Krieg, who's also a producer on this film, it came up with this great idea about approaching Starro in a different way that created this almost body horror aspect to it, and I think that was enough to, like, and plus, you know, the stuff that I watched as a kid, like Goonies or something like that, they were always a little dark. There was a little bit of scariness to it, and so I think this lives in that, within those boundaries. You know? There's nothing. I don't think there's anything objectionable that I would find to show my kid this, you know, at 10.
Excuse me, what went into your choices for the voice cast?
Well, I mean, we just tried to find the best people that we could get, and, you know, so like Wes Gleason is my voice director, and we had a meeting with the casting, and he brought up, I've worked with Travis before on some stuff, and I just thought he had a great voice.
All right.
And I thought he had a great Superman voice. Okay. And so, sorry.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, guys.
Rick. You rock, bro.
Appreciate it.